In every legend, there's a sliver of truth. In every tragedy, a forgotten warning. They Were Both Found Dead is your guide through the eerie and the unexplained, where history collides with horror and not everyone makes it out alive. Welcome to They Were Both Found Dead. I'm Ramsey.
This is Adrian, and today we're talking about architectural disasters.
There's a lot of interesting stuff to talk about, but all of it's horrifying.
Horrifying. I picked some really bad ones. I'm sure Ramsey did too.
I always do.
Yeah.
It's just crazy because it can happen to you no matter what, and it's completely out of your control.
Yeah, it's like one second to another. Mine are like that. Well, the second one is more like it like instantaneous kind of death.
That's scary.
Yeah.
And there's no decision they made. They didn't decide to be irresponsible and make a bridge break, but they're the ones that died.
Yeah, it's usually the people that are required to inspect don't do it properly, and we have 100 people dead. So.
We've talked before about how every rule, every law, every OSHA violation is written in blood. That's why those rules are there.
And also, you notice that we're in a different setup. We're now in my house, not Ramsey's.
I moved in with him.
Oh, no, she did not. She's not coming in unless she wants to pay.
Oh, I thought for free, but okay.
Yeah, we're in my kitchen table right now.
It has been a long time since we filmed, actually, and it's kind of fun to get back in front of the camera again.
Yeah, it's been like a month or something.
It's been a few months. We haven't filmed since before I went to Florida.
When was that?
The beginning of May. I left May 3rd.
Wow, shoot. Yeah, it's been a while.
We're
back on it. Do we look different?
A lot has happened since I last saw you. I got engaged in Florida. Beautiful ring. If you're listening, you have to come to the YouTube to look at my ring. Even though I'm not really even showing it. I'll include close-ups.
Okay, good. Pictures. Where were you when you?
We were
Florida,
we were
right?
at Daytona Beach, but the beach we were specifically at was Schmear Beach or something.
Schmear?
I know. So we just say Daytona. We got engaged at Daytona.
Okay.
We have a snake named Daytona, so it's perfect.
That's cute. But that's awesome, Ramsey. I'm so happy for you.
But yeah, there was a long break, and there's one other thing that I've been wanting to incorporate that I totally forgot until I looked down at my notes and saw it.
Okay.
But I really want to do palate cleansers in between. And we're also using microphones, so it should sound a lot better.
Thank God. It was so bad before. This is gonna make it a lot better. You're welcome, guys.
Thank you to anyone who listened to us before then.
Yeah, no.
Mainly my sister Taylor. Taylor listens to us, and Delaney watches us. My sisters are basically our entire fan base, and I love that.
My sisters don't know because they would bully me to the ground.
My first disaster today is the Quebec Bridge in Canada. Building this bridge took a really long time and had a dozen setbacks, but the only way prior to the building of this bridge to travel to Quebec City from across the river was to take a ferry or to use the wintertime ice bridge. Could you imagine having to get Iowa? We live in Omaha, so Iowa's right there. Imagine having to get there via ferry.
Oh, that would suck.
You gotta get on a fucking boat.
No.
So discussions of building the Quebec Bridge began all the way back in 1852. Eventually, being included in the National Transcontinental Railway project finally pushed the project forward, and they began building in 1903. By 1904, the southern half of the bridge was taking shape. 50 years after the bridge was proposed. Wouldn't you think that's plenty of time to ensure that the plans are all correct, the math is good, it's going to be fine?
We have bad history of making sure things are okay.
Well, this is Canada too, so you would think...
Even better, but no.
You would think Canadians would have it... I always assume Canadians have it together more than us Americans. I assume pretty much every country has it together better than us. But no.
Let's see.
Somehow, preliminary calculations made very early on in the planning were incorrect and were never noticed or corrected. With the design the builders were given, the bridge's own weight was more than its safe carrying capacity. So that's before a single person's on it. Itself is more than it can carry.
Oh, really?
The bridge was near done in 1907, and engineer Norman McClure was beginning to notice increasing distortions of key structural elements. He wrote repeatedly to Theodore Cooper, the QBRC consulting engineer co-running the project with Peter L. Slapka, the chief designing engineer. I just said a lot of names, so I'll repeat that again real quick.
Okay.
Slapka, chief designing engineer co-running the project with Cooper. And then we have McClure, a responsible engineer warning those two aforementioned idiots.
Okay.
In August 6, 1907, when McClure reported that the lower chords of the south arm were bent, Cooper replied that the issues were minor and to continue as planned.
Okay.
Already idiot.
Yeah.
Already irresponsible. On August 12th, 6 days later, McClure reported 2 more bent cords. The Phoenix Bridge Company insisted that the beams must have bent prior to installation. McClure called bullshit, and so do I. More importantly, whether they bent before or after installation, they're still bent, and it's still compromised structurally. What kind of company installs damaged products? Like, that part really didn't make sense to me at all.
Yeah, no. I mean, I can assume that they thought, since there's so many beams on it, that some is
Some of
going
them
to be
don't have to
fine.
actually work.
Yeah, but obviously not.
It's just crazy to me, because
not.
what's the logic there? In my opinion, it makes them look bad no matter what. Because either they're lying and not caring that they use damaged products and building unsafe structures that come down any moment, or the math is wrong and they just don't care and want to continue. Either way, they look bad.
They don't think about the huge consequences to this.
They're just thinking of the money, the government contract, wanting to build it fast.
Oh. All we talk about is always rage bait. I hate it.
Because that's everything. It's so horrible, but so much of what happens that is bad comes down to it usually comes down to either money or systematic oppression towards a group.
Everything.
Pretty much. It's super great. On August 27th, 1907, 21 days after McClure first drew attention to the issues, he remeasured the bends and they had worsened significantly. Instead of writing another letter to be ignored, McClure drove to New York on August 29th to speak to Theodore Cooper face to face. He's like, you know what, motherfucker? You're not taking me seriously. I think McClure deserves like a reward. Like, he's going above and beyond.
Yeah.
McClure managed to convince Cooper of the levity of the situation, and Cooper telegraphed the Quebec Bridge construction area to, quote, add no more load to the bridge until after due consideration of facts. That was the exact quote he sent them. Now, John Dean, he was the one on the ground in charge of the workday. So he was the one there that was supposed to be like, everyone stop, everyone be done. So he received the message, he ignored it, choosing to finish the already almost done workday.
You know, McClure, yeah, I feel like even though he did so much, it probably haunts him. The fact that even though he did so much, he probably thinks he didn't do enough and that so many people died because of him, and it's not even because of him.
100%, especially since he actually has morality.
Yeah.
The people that are actually responsible for it aren't going to feel bad, and the people who tried their best are still going to feel bad, and that's so sad.
They're just going to be worried about like how much money they're going to lose or like how much jail time they're going to get from it.
And it's so rarely people are held responsible.
Yeah, exactly. You're right.
That's so fucked up. So, near quitting time, 4 years of construction in, 55 years in the making, after construction was ordered to be halted in search of safety concerns, the south arm and part of the central section of the bridge collapsed into the St. Lawrence River in 15 seconds flat.
15 seconds? Wait, didn't they do like a test or anything?
They're still building it at this point.
Oh.
So they're at work, they're building it, the workday's almost over, they get the message, stop building it. It's done. Like, we need to stop. John Dean chose to continue because the workday was almost over. And just before the workday ends, it collapsed. So like, it should never have happened. If they had listened to McClure, all these people would be alive. Beauvais, a survivor, recalled noticing a rivet he had driven in less than an hour before had snapped in half and called out to 2 foremen near him just as the big bridge began to collapse. Hewitt, another survivor, and the crew's timekeeper, had just been about to alert the crew to the end of the workday when the bridge began to collapse. He ran in panic, feeling the ground disappear beneath him, just barely making it to safety. If it had collapsed a few minutes later, almost no one would have been on it.
And if everybody would have been off of it,
if he had
nobody would have died.
Yeah. Some men were crushed, some drowned, and some were killed by the fall itself. Of the 86 workers in the bridge that day, 75 were killed and 11 others were injured. 33 of the dead men were Mohawk steelworkers from the Kanawaki Reserve.
Native Americans?
Yeah. And that is a very important part of the conversation, is so many more, like, obviously there's white people in blue collar jobs, obviously, but a lot of less privileged communities are forced into those jobs, and therefore, like, if those communities already have less people and they're forced into more dangerous jobs, and those communities are already almost died out, more huge parts die, like, that's a huge thing.
Yeah, like the jobs that people don't want to do is all they can do.
The jobs that no one's doing now because they got fucking deported. Yeah, now might be a good time to acknowledge, fuck ICE, forever fuck ICE, know your rights, help your neighbors. Anyways, speaking of rage bait.
Oh, so mad.
A royal commission of inquiry was made consisting of 3 extremely well-respected engineers, and the failure of the bridge was attributed to 2 men. Theodore Cooper, consulting engineer, and Peter L. Slapka, chief designing engineer for the Phoenix Bridge Company. Slapka designed the failed cords, and Cooper examined and approved them. Several things came out during the inquiry that Cooper mandated unusually high allowable stresses, never recalculated when the span of the bridge was lengthened, threw fits when criticized about massive mistakes by his peers, and even refused to supervise on site, instead depending entirely on Slapka, who prior to this project was little more than a desk engineer. After this inquiry, work began on a second bridge, and 3 different experienced engineers were put in charge. On September 11th, 1916...
I didn't know there was going to be 2 bridges.
It's technically the same bridge.
Oh, okay.
It's just there wasn't really anything palatable left of the old one, so they discarded that and then restarted in the same area.
Okay.
And then on September 11th, 1916, the central span was being raised in the position and fell into the river, killing 13 more workers. Once again, the chief engineer, this time H.E. Vaudelet, was alerted to the issue 6 weeks prior to the collapse by Franz Lichtenberg, engineer and federal inspector. He ignored it, and 13 more people ended up dying. On top of that, even though, once again, Lichtenberg literally warned Vaudelet and was a federal inspector, there was fear-mongering about German sabotage due to the Great War, now called World War I, had recently begun, fingers being pointed at Lichtenberg intentionally collapsing the bridge.
Oh.
What we have going on in the world, people love to target. Like, when I watched, the third documentary I watched yesterday was the Oklahoma City bombing.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting. It was really sad. But there was so much camera footage of people being like, Muslims are in and out of this building. There's Muslims all over here. And of course, after 9/11, there's a lot of anti-Muslim stuff. And it was the same thing. There was so much anti-German stuff at this time because of World War I that they're like, that fucking German did it.
Yeah, no, exactly. Or like whenever there was like a bunch of Asian racism because of...
COVID.
Well, yeah, that too. Yeah, that's even more recent. But I was thinking about like after World War II or like the Vietnam War.
The Japanese internment camps.
Yeah.
That shit's crazy.
So they put it into like a bigger span of people when it's just, I don't know.
I feel like
it's
we know
weird.
better now,
yeah.
but obviously we don't.
No, not at all. We're actually in 1950 right now or something like that.
I love that post where it's like, the time is so weird. In Japan, it's nighttime. In Europe, it's daytime. In America, it's 1945.
Yeah.
Well, like, I think right now you even see a lot of anti-Russian stuff where, like, the Russians did this, which, like, to a degree, yeah. I think more people than used to understand that. I hate Russia. I hate Putin and what he does. I love Russians. I love their pride. I think as a people, they deserve so much better than what they get. A lot of people conflate those two things. I hate what Russia's doing, so I hate Russians.
Yeah,
no.
And that's what we're talking about.
So this time, reconstruction began almost right away, finished September 1917 at the cost of 23 million Canadian dollars and the lives of 88 bridge workers total. Because of these negligence-caused accidents, organizations of professional engineers were established with different rules and regulations depending on which you belong to, but all of which include ethics exams, character witnesses to join, applicable experience to join, and to be registered in the province to join. It took 2 years to clear the debris from the river, deeply affecting the local wildlife. Today, the Quebec Bridge has been listed as one of the 10 most endangered historical sites in Canada and is absolutely covered in corrosion, so it's getting weaker every single day.
What the fuck? But the bridge is now there?
Oh, the bridge is up and running since then. It's just slowly
going
decomposing.
down? I would probably not go on that bridge.
Yeah, avoid the Quebec Bridge. There's other options now.
Ugh, that's horrible. Jeez. Yeah. I didn't know there was going to be two bridge collapses. That's crazy.
And like but you might mention it in yours, but I know it's mentioned in mine later that those afterwards when they have to like take accountability for what they do and the engineer committees, those all exist because of that bridge. Because twice it collapsed.
There's something going on, yeah. We feel angry and we feel sad. So we're going to try to mend that by having this new segment, palate cleansers.
So to give context, she's at a horror ride with her family, and they're videotaping her because she's taking the ride by herself because no one wanted to go with her.
I've seen this. So far away. While she's being dragged into the dune. That's crazy.
I love that. Your turn to make me sad.
Yeah. Making all of you guys sad. So I'm going to be talking about the Battersea Park Funfair Disaster.
Oh.
You heard about that?
No, but it says
Oh.
Funfair. It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah, it was not fun for these people that day. In London's Battersea Park, tucked beside the River Thames, families once flocked for fun and excitement. But on May 30th, 1972, a terrible tragedy turned a day of joy into a nightmare. That afternoon, 5 children lost their lives and 13 others were injured in a horrific roller coaster accident.
Literally nightmare fuel.
Yeah, I was trying to look for a roller coaster accident on purpose because I thought that seemed...
Scary.
Yeah, kind of make aware of how dangerous these places are.
Are you going to go on roller coasters after this?
Yes, I am, but like scaring you guys. So this is the story of Britain's worst amusement park tragedy. So the Funfair had been a popular spot since 1951 when it opened as part of the Festival of Britain. For over 20 years, it offered rides, games, and thrills, with the Big Dipper roller coaster as one of its most well-known attractions. But by the early 70s, the ride was aging, and dangerously so. On the day of the accident, a train was being pulled up the first incline of the Big Dipper when the rope suddenly snapped. The emergency brakes, which was meant to stop the train from rolling backwards, failed to work. So
double failure.
yeah, so it was going up, and the brakes didn't go, so it went backwards, kind of like from the incline. The brakeman tried to slow it down manually, but the train picked up speed and sped in reverse towards the station. So where people are like are in line and stuff.
Yeah.
The rear car jumped the tracks and smashed through the wooden barrier. So going up, the back one like jumped off the tracks and it hit the barrier.
Yeah.
The little canopy. What is it called?
I don't know.
Just a little
Barrier.
yeah, let's say that. The other 2 cars crashed on top of it, and in the wreckage, 5 children died. 13 others were injured, and
That's
one
so
child, whose sister was killed in the crash, was left with permanent injuries.
Oh my God. All the kids that died, were they on the roller coaster or were they waiting in line?
I know for sure one of them died in the line. Not in the line, but they were not on the roller coaster. But I think everybody else did die on the roller coaster.
That's so sad.
But I'll tell you about that one. Later reports revealed the ride was a disaster waiting to happen. A post-crash...
If 2 things failed?
Yeah. A post-crash investigation found 51 separate problems with the roller coaster. Some of the replacement parts were more than 50 years old. The wooden structure was rotting. Even the walkway meant for emergencies was in such poor shape that one girl who survived the initial crash fell through a broken handrail and died. Trying to escape an emergency, she died.
That is literally a horror movie. That is...
It's like Final Destination kind of thing. Yeah. Honestly.
I couldn't even imagine how she felt in that moment. Like, I lived and now I'm falling and I'm dying.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's horrible. 1971. 3 men were charged with manslaughter, including the manager of the ride and the engineer responsible for inspecting it. During the court hearings, it was revealed that the Big Dipper had already malfunctioned in the weeks before the crash. In one instance, a train had rolled backward without being stopped by the brake system, just like it did on the day of the disaster.
So they knew that the safety system was failing and didn't fix it.
They probably fixed it like really bad.
Surely.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be up and running in a week if something like that is going on. But money, corporate greed.
And laziness.
Yeah, for sure.
Ugh, disgusting.
There were other shocking details too. Staff reported that the ride was often run by teenagers who used drugs, and some managers were regularly drunk.
Okay, I think I expect that when I come. I just don't want the engineers drunk.
Yeah. Plus, it was like the 70s, so a lot of people thought all teenagers were on drugs.
Smoking
so maybe that's
doobies
weird.
with my brothers.
Yeah. The brakesman involved in the accident had reportedly been told to leave afterwards and was never even questioned by the police. Because maybe he was intoxicated too and they didn't want that.
Yeah.
Who knows? Despite all of this, the 2 main men on trial were found not guilty in 1973. The court ruled there wasn't enough proof to convict them of manslaughter.
I think there's enough proof. Can I be the court?
I bet you a lot of money was exchanged in that court too.
Yeah. When was this again? Or where was this, I mean?
Great Britain?
Ugh. Those bastards. Okay. Those bastards.
2 years later, one of the crash victims, Arun Thakur, won a civil lawsuit against the owner's son and was awarded 5,500 in damages. Euros. I mean, it used to be more money, right?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but for like a kid death, I don't know.
I was expecting at least 500,000.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say 5 million. That's why I started dancing.
No, not at all.
That's infuriating.
Even though they're giving you money, it pisses you off even more because it's like a measly amount of money.
There's no way that even covered their hospital bills.
No, for sure not. Okay. After the accident, the old wooden coaster was replaced by a newer steel ride called the Cyclone. But the Funfair never recovered. Visitors stopped coming. The mood had changed in 1974, just 2 years after the tragedy. The fair closed for good.
That's good.
So for decades, there was no memorial. The site of the crash was fenced off and left quiet, hidden from the public.
That's so sad.
Survivors and families of the victims pushed for years to have their children properly remembered, and on May 30th, 2022, 50 years to the day after the crash, a cherry tree was planted where the Big Dipper once stood. A small plaque was placed beneath it, honoring the 5 children who never came home. Horrible tragedy. At least they were remembered. I'm so glad for that. It could have been prevented. Like all these things that we're talking about right now, because my other one can also be prevented.
I don't think there's anything I have that couldn't have been prevented.
Fuck these people.
All right, since Adrian did this topic, he gets this palate cleanser, and I think we need it because that was horrible. Children. Murdered for nothing. Because that's really what it is. Like, negligence is, to some degree, murder.
Yeah, it is. And they should be charged with manslaughter, but
yeah,
this is America.
This is America.
Well, this is my palate cleanser. Have you seen it?
I saw you send it to me, but I didn't click on it.
Damn, okay.
So I haven't seen it. He and I are one.
Bruh. Wow, the missing tooth really adds to it.
Oh, he's an icon. I do kind of feel like I'm about to get hate crimed, but...
What? Oh, by him?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So my next disaster today is pretty close to home. Omaha, to be exact.
Oh.
It was Monday, January 20th, 2014 at 9:40 a.m. Working at the International Nutrition Facility, where they produce natural supplements for animal feed, initially thought to be an explosion, 9 huge storage bins on the roof, their structural supports, and the roof itself caved in. The damage was tremendous, so much so that the plant was rendered inoperable and shut down. Of the 38 people in the building, 13 employees were injured and 2 were killed. Omaha Fire Chief Bernard Kanger was quoted, "We've got tens of thousands of pounds of reinforced concrete, and steel. Because the structural elements that have collapsed onto the area where this person was working, in order to make it safe for ourselves, in order to retrieve the victims, it's going to be a lengthy operation."
Oh.
It took 2 full days to retrieve the victims' bodies.
Oh, wow.
The first victim was 53-year-old Keith Everett, a competitive but laid-back man with a hearty laugh. Unfortunately, I couldn't locate an obituary for this gentleman, but he was clearly loved by his family.
That's so sad. One of those things about collapsing buildings is people found in the rubble. Imagine laying in rubble underneath a bunch of bricks and everything for a day.
There was, in that Oklahoma documentary I just watched, one of the people they were talking to, she had just bought a new house, and they're videotaping for fun. They showed the videotape right before the bomb went off of just her and her coworkers having fun.
Oh my God.
And she's I had this cute new green jacket, and it was very 2000s. It was kind of 80s actually, but it was cute. She was under the rubble, and it took over a day to get her. And she said she could start to hear them, and she was so hopeful because she was hearing no one for so long and by herself. And then she started to hear them, then they were talking to each other, and she was I think I felt you brushing me. And he was what color shirt are you wearing? And she was I don't know. I don't remember at this point. And he's just think, what color? And she's green. And then she felt he grabbed her and pulled her out. And she said everything hurts.
It's just the claustrophobia that you get from that.
Pain.
The pain, yeah. You're in, and then you don't even know you're going to be rescued or anything because you're just in there. And can you even breathe? There's a bunch of dust. Oh my God, no.
They have little rats that have been trained now to find bodies in rubble, and they have little cameras on them.
I mean, horrible, but that's so cute.
It would be if you're in that situation, all of a sudden a rat sticks his head in. It's
oh my gosh.
You have a backpack on. You're actually going to see
I would think I would be going delusional, honestly.
I would be worried about it eating me.
Oh. Maybe.
And then I'd see the backpack and be no, you're working with the humans.
Yes, thank God. But that's still crazy.
Yeah.
They use dogs too to sniff people out.
The issue with dogs, they can't get in as much.
Oh, yeah. Small.
Whereas the rats can. The second victim was David Bell. This is his obituary. Born August 24th, 1966, David John Bell passed from our lives at a young age of 47. Born and raised in Palmer, Iowa, David moved to Omaha after graduating from high school. David loved the outdoors, whether it be hunting, doing yard work, or foraging for morel mushrooms. He was a generous person, always willing to help anyone in need. Everyone who knew David agreed that he would always make them laugh. Although he will be missed dearly, he will live in our hearts always. It's so sad.
obituaries are horrible.
It's a good way to remember the deceased. It's crazy how expensive they are. Like, this person already had a family member die, and obituaries are crazy expensive.
Why? What do you mean?
It's like hundreds of dollars to put obituary in the newspaper, on top of all the other expenses.
I honestly thought it was like free.
I did too, until my Uncle Travis's funeral.
Oh, did you guys put?
I think we did.
Hey y'all, it's Editing Ramsey. Sorry to jump in here real quick. I just realized while pulling some footage for this that the person I'm about to speak about, I keep calling them Alicia. I think I keep pronouncing her last name Alicia. That is 100% my bad. It is Alicio. I know a family with that last name that goes by Alicia. So I didn't bother to check. I was like, that's it. That's how you pronounce it. So yeah, it's Alicio, not Alicia. Apologies. He's a freaking hero. Here is his story.
Well, during the horrific collapse, Walter and Alicia heard loud noises and dropped to the ground. When I got back up on my feet, I saw my buddy being crunched by the wall. And in the first split second, the wall stopped moving and went backwards a little, just enough for me to grab his hand. Off to my left, I saw my supervisor covered with blood, so I went and grabbed him, was quoted to KETV. Alicia ended up dragging both Thomas Balderdash and John Broderick to safety. Neither could move on their own, and grain was piling up to Alicia's neck.
Oh.
Pipes were burst, water going everywhere, and electrical wires were exploding all around them.
Oh my god.
It's literally like a movie scene. Water's coming up, grain's coming up, electric exploding around you. You're trying to get out while the building's falling around you.
No, yeah, that's... What the fuck?
Yeah.
There's so much going on.
Alicia got the men to the safest spot he could manage, where he's like, I hope you guys fucking live. I can't take two fully grown unconscious men with me. I can't get out. So he left them in the safest spot he could manage and dug his way out, telling help where the men were as soon as he could. Both those men were saved.
Oh god, thank god. I thought it was gonna be like another like guilt thing.
Yeah, no. He's a fucking hero.
No, yeah.
There is some guilt to it, though, because Alicia also commented that he was right next to Everett, one of the gentlemen who died. Oh, and Belle. He was right next to both of them and wanted to help them, but he was unable to reach them due to the debris. It was eventually concluded that the disaster was due to the containers in the roof being filled with limestone, an extremely heavy mineral whose weight, grain storage is what it was classified for. The things that collapsed, they were classified for storing grain storage. But they were storing, but they were storing extremely heavy limestone, which it had never been tested for. And the danger of this practice was shown to have been brought to the company's attention long prior to the fatal day in 2014. It's yet another example of many that it's workers who make the money and take the risk and speak up that end up paying with their mental health at best and their lives at worst. And it's the people making all the money, ignoring the risk, and knowingly putting employees in danger who reap the benefits and rarely face minor consequences, if any at all.
We're just talking about the same thing every day.
History keeps repeating itself.
It sucks. Can we change the system or something? Because there's so much proof, so much...
It is being changed. They just cut back a ton of heat protections.
Oh, they did?
While the world's getting hotter, they're cutting, like the Trump administration just cut a ton of heat protections for workers. And more workers have died in the last few years of heat, like, issues at work.
So things are changing for the worse?
Yep.
Okay, I thought you were going to give me some hope there, but...
No, it was opposite hope. It's actually really bad. All right, that was a little close to home. We need a palate cleanser.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Okay, can I give context on this one? This person's neighbor has been giving them a hard time since they moved in, and he's a little cuckoo on the kazoo.
I've seen so many videos like that.
Well, this person put out a Halloween decoration, and the neighbor took it to believe that Halloween decoration meant that they were threatening their cat.
Oh, I've seen this.
Okay, well, we get to watch it again.
I think you sent me all these. The guy already looks annoying.
He really does.
This is a cat that's hurt. You hurt my cat, you're gonna regret it.
Yeah, you hurt my cat, I'll kill you.
Oh my gosh, old
He's
fuck.
not even hurt.
Dude.
Money.
Cutest cat ever, too. Wow.
The most innocent decoration. He's like, that right there is a threat.
I know, he's just trying to find anything.
Yeah, some people are just itching for confrontation.
Hate that. Imagine having such a horrible neighbor. So I'm going to be talking about the Champlain South Tower collapse. Have you heard about that?
I remember when it happened. It was like really, really big news. Mm-hmm. I don't know literally anything about it, except I'm pretty sure it goes perfect in that pattern we've been doing of money happening because of money.
It was just after 1 a.m. on June 24th, 2001, when Champlain Towers South in Surfside, Florida came crashing down.
Okay, maybe I don't remember when this happened because I was 3.
Oh.
I think I'm thinking of something else then.
Maybe
This has
you
happened
are.
in Miami more than once then. So
Shit.
that's unfortunate.
The ground rumbled, and in less than 12 seconds, a 12-story condo tower crumbled to the ground, taking 98 lives with it.
Oh my god.
A lot of people. There was no natural disasters, there was no explosion, no earthquakes or nothing, just a building seemingly stable that collapsed like it had been made of sand.
Wow.
Photos and videos showed the devastation, concrete slabs stacked like pancakes, rooms torn apart, furniture dangling in midair, and thick smoke rising from the ruins. It looked like a war zone.
Following more breaking news out of Florida, in Surfside near Miami Beach, a 12-story condominium building partially collapsed around 2 o'clock this morning. This is video of the moment the condo building went down. It's just devastation in that area for blocks. And this is video of firefighters actually saving a young boy who was trapped underneath all that rubble. As Fox 46's Steve Harrigan reports, 35 people were rescued just this morning.
But this collapse didn't happen out of nowhere. Back in 2018, engineers flagged serious issues with the structure. Concrete was cracking, the pool deck had major water damage, corroded steel was weakening the support beams, and by 2021, things had only gotten worse.
Okay, so this is the one I was thinking of. So was it built in 2001?
Nah, maybe? I don't know when it got built.
Oh, at the beginning you said 2001.
2021.
Oh, I heard 2001. Okay.
No, 2021.
I do remember when this happened. It was really big news. That's really fucking horrifying. I wonder how many pets died.
Oh, probably all of them. By 2021, things had only gotten worse. Repairs had been approved, but work hadn't started. So investigators believe the pool deck failed first, dropping into the parking garage below. The collapse triggered the rest of the building to fall in a horrifying chain reaction. Security footage captured the moment. One section after another fell until nothing was left but rubble.
That's horrific.
Yeah, and the same thing we were talking about the last one, I thought about when I was making this research, is people just being trapped in the rubble. I
Literally
can't think
a
of
horrible
a
thing.
worse hell.
Even if you live past it, like you're gonna live with that for the rest of your life, and
Yeah.
with that fear and like knowing what that feels
Yeah,
like.
imagine that. Yeah, can you even go back into buildings and stuff like that? I mean, you can say that about anything, right? Like if somebody almost drowns in a like cruise,
And then they
ship,
don't go back in the water. So yeah, that's a really good point.
a lot of trauma going around.
Like 1-story buildings only.
Wow. The thing is, nothing's happened to me, so I don't have really any trauma about anything.
Is that an invitation?
I'm not triggering anything. Emergency crews rushed in. Firefighters, search dogs, and rescue teams worked around the clock, pulling people from the debris. Some survived. A mother and a daughter were found after falling several floors. The daughter made it, the mother didn't.
Oh, that's just awful.
Yeah, there were glimmers of hope, brief ones, but most stories ended in heartbreak. Rescuers heard voices in the wreckage, including one woman who called out for hours. She was never reached in time. Can you imagine? Like, you can
So
even
she
hear her.
knew.
Yeah, but you can hear her. So I still don't even, I mean, there's big slabs on top. I don't know.
Yeah, because not only are you like having to take all that stuff apart, but you have to in a way that's not going to come crumbling down.
Yeah. I never thought about that. Like, it's not like a rush job.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just do as much as you can. You have to be careful with
And
it.
did they know then that there was no bomb, like right away? Because sometimes right away you don't know. And when there are bombs, there's a really like common thing where they put another bomb that'll go off later to get the first responders.
Are you serious?
Yep.
What a horrible world. Oh, like in Hunger Games.
Yep. Exactly like Hunger Games.
A family stood by, waiting, watching heavy machinery dig through the ruins. Officials read names, a retired IMF official and her husband, a couple visiting from Paraguay, children. Whole families gone in seconds. Disaster shocked the country and the world. Rescue crews flew in from Israel and Mexico. Two very controversial things right now.
Go Mexico. I'm surprised Israel didn't bomb them again just to make sure.
Ooh.
And they say there's tunnels underneath.
Ooh.
Oop.
No, she's right. Okay, so FEMA's.
Something. Oh my god.
Sorry, I can't go into it laughing.
R.I.P. FEMA.
So FEMA sent in experts, even NBA teams and therapy dogs came to help comfort survivors and families of the missing. Another cause, the building was 40 years old. In Florida's salty, humid climate, that's a long time if maintenance isn't done right. And Champlain Towers South had been showing signs of trouble for years.
Especially since, like, that's in Miami. There's so many hurricanes and the hurricane force winds. That's why so many houses in Florida are like that box shape. Because the winds, it's a lot easier to repair and there's a lot less, like, damage.
I'm sure there's like extra regulations and inspections have to be done in places like that just to make sure everything is working, you know?
Yeah, but it's just another thing working against that building.
After the collapse, other buildings in the area were quickly evacuated. Champlain Tower North and East, Crestview Towers, even the county courthouse. Suddenly, the entire region started asking, could this happen again? With a tropical storm on the way, what was left of the building had to come down. On July 4th, Independence Day.
Oh, wow.
Crews used explosives to demolish the demanding structure. Some people begged them to wait, hoping pets still trapped inside could be saved. But the risk was too high. Just 20 minutes after the blast, the search resumed.
That is so fucking sad.
I know. Can you imagine
If my
that?
cats were in there, oh my god.
Begging people.
To insert clip of old woman finding her cat after a tornado because I'm sad.
Judy Pugh rushed to her hallway with her 3 cats when she saw debris spinning in the air. As the roof blew away, a wall fell on top of her.
I tried to get to my hands and knees, and I couldn't. I heard the young men hollering, Miss Judy, are you in there?
Judy escaped with black eyes, but says she would have been sucked away by that tornado if it weren't for that very wall. 2 of her cats survived. 1 hasn't been seen since the storm. But Judy doesn't give up hope, looking every day for the last 3 weeks for her lost friend. Unbelievably, during our visit, Judy's shaggy friend of 10 years came out of nowhere.
See your mama. Oh, God, love it. Oh, honey. Honey, oh. Oh, my God, you probably don't like your pan. Oh, honey. Oh. I have everything in the world now. I have that 3 cats.
Katie made it through the tornado, heat, and cold without food or water for nearly a month.
Wasn't that a dog?
It's probably happened with dogs too, but the specific one I'm thinking of is her cat.
Okay, now include one of the dog.
I was sitting on the stool holding my dog. This was the game plan all through the years, to go in that little bathroom. And the electric never went off because...
What do you think of all this? This is your neighborhood. I can't imagine.
This is life in the big city.
By mid-July, the mission shifted from rescue to recovery. No more survivors would be found. Teams kept working through the rubble piece by piece, searching for remains, for answers, for closure.
Yeah.
And that's mine.
Was anyone held accountable?
Oh, I don't think so.
Probably not.
Yes.
I guess maybe they got out of trouble since they had scheduled maintenance. But if you knew the issues were there in 2018 and it's 2021, you still haven't done it, I feel like that's negligence.
Very much so. But you know what happens with negligence? Nothing.
If you're rich enough, crimes aren't crimes.
Don't matter.
They're just like controversies.
But yeah, I also thought about like it being at 1 a.m. People are sleeping. And you wake up to your building collapsing. Imagine the disorientation. It's
That
gotta
would
be
be
crazy.
terrifying.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Would you even know you were in your building if you took long enough to, like, if you were woken up by the crushing? Do you even know you're in your building? Do you have any idea where you are?
I actually have no idea.
Maybe you got buried alive by a
Crazy.
serial killer. How do you know? You're just guessing.
True. It's like you just wake up to a loud noise and now you're like underneath a bunch of rocks.
Mm-hmm. Can't even tell you're on your bed.
You're probably not on the bed at that point.
Ugh, awful.
Awful.
Stay safe, Miami.
Yeah.
I would like to see something funny.
Oh my God. I think the lady set it up and this guy got into this machine.
She's like, oh.
Oh, it's too funny, dude.
I'd be way too self-conscious to record myself at the gym.
You think so?
I feel like everyone's
it's also
looking at you record yourself.
Yeah, I feel self-conscious, period, in the gym.
Yeah, same.
But
one time when I was at the gym, I was on like, they got new treadmills, and I like made a loud noise because I accidentally like, and it just was a second. I just did something wrong for a second. But then the 2 guys across me like looked at me and then went back to what they were doing,
Oh
and
my
I
God.
got off and went home.
Oh, you did?
And it wasn't like I did other stuff first. Like, that was the first machine.
Oh my god. And it made like a super loud noise.
And
yeah,
so
I would leave too. I would leave too. I would.
Oh.
Very valid, Ramsey.
Our fifth and final topic today is the Kansas City Skywalk disaster. This disaster happened in 1981. However, the skywalks themselves have been built in the 70s. This was a time of great turmoil, from Jonestown, Nixon's resignation, and the first outbreak of Ebola, to the Second Amendment passing, as well as Roe v. Wade, which would later be overturned in 2022. It was a time of high unemployment, high inflation, and high interest rates. A lot like right now.
Okay.
The pressure was on, and builders needed to win contracts, and doing so faster than their competitors was the biggest and bestest way to accomplish that. Construction on the skywalks in the Hyatt Hotel began in May of 1978 with numerous delays and setbacks, and even the collapse of 2,700 square feet, or 250 square meters, of roof collapsing in on the project.
Oh.
But no one died.
Okay.
Eventually, the lobby was finished and was the defining feature of this Hyatt. It was a multi-story atrium filled with beautiful greenery and 3 hanging walkways. Like a big room that's partially greenhouse. And like you can see multiple levels from where you are.
Okay.
So like if you're on the 3rd floor, you can look down the 1st floor.
Oh, okay, I see it. Yeah.
The 4th walkway and the 2nd floor walkway were directly above and below one another, while the 3rd floor walkway was several feet to the side, creating like a pleasing picture. Each of those floors had like a walkway that you could go to either side, like in the middle, hanging over the lobby. And so the 2nd floor is right here, the 3rd floor one was right here, and the 4th floor one was above the 2nd floor one.
Okay.
On Friday, July 17th, 1981, an estimated 1,600 people were gathered in the atrium for a tea dance, a weekly party that was becoming extremely popular. So each of the walkways had about 20 to 40 people on them. Unbeknownst to them, these walkways was design completely altered. And instead of the 2nd floor walkway hanging independently of the 4th floor, it was changed to the 4th floor also carrying the 2nd floor walkway's weight. While no engineers bothered to do the math on the change and the difference in the weight these walkways would be able to carry. Because instead of it being independently hung from the ceiling, it just attaches to the 4th floor one now.
Isn't that your job?
Literally the whole fucking point of everything.
How do you even like approve of something when you don't have that?
Just
like,
this looks good. It should be fine.
Reassurance that it's safe. I don't know.
Selfish. Just like what will happen.
Cutting corners.
Yes, that basically can all just be brought down to cutting corners.
For sure.
Several extremely loud popping noises carried through the lobby, and then a loud crack. Only moments later, the 4th walkway fell several inches, but held for a few moments, and then fell into the 2nd story walkway, which then crashed into the crowded lobby floor. Diners at the rotating restaurant at the very top of the building said it felt like an explosion took place below them. Rescue operations lasted 14 hours, and the fire department sent out SOSs, their equipment unable to deal with this disaster. Survivors were buried under tons of steel, concrete, and glass. Not only that, but the accident caused the sprinkler system to bust, and the lobby was flooding.
Oh my god.
Volunteers responded and brought flashlights, compressors, jackhammers, concrete saws, generators, and literal crane.
Did it fall on people?
Yes.
Or
There's
was people on
the
it?
walkway, and it fell on people.
Oh my god. Oh,
so it was like a walkway fell on the other walkway full of people, and that fell on a lobby full of people. Not only imagine being on those walkways, but imagine being on the other walkway just watching that happen.
Yeah, I can imagine everybody in the 2nd one probably died.
A lot of people died. Deputy Fire Chief Arnett Williams was quoted. They said, "Take what you want. I don't know if all these people got their equipment back, but no one has ever asked for accounting, and no one has ever submitted a bill." Which is amazing, because that means a bunch of people volunteered their own equipment, their own stuff, and brought it to help, and then never asked the city for repayment or anything.
Good. I thought you meant something different.
The one good thing.
Yeah.
When pulled out, the dead were taken to the ground floor area as a makeshift morgue, and the living were taken to the driveway and lawn, which had been made into a makeshift triage area. Many were mortally wounded, and they were given morphine until they passed on to make it less horrible. So being mortally wounded, that basically means you are alive right now, but there's nothing we can do to save you. Like, we know we aren't going to be able to save you, so we're going to make you comfortable.
I've never heard of that happening ever. Like, people giving morphine to people so they can pass, like in a wreckage or something like that. I know it happens like in hospitals or something, but like
just on the lawn
right
in front
there?
of this hotel.
That's crazy.
In Kansas City.
That is horrible.
The local blood centers had lines of hundreds of people waiting and ready to donate. 114 total people were killed, and 216 people were injured, 29 of which had been pulled from the rubble by rescuers. The final man rescued alive, Mark Williams, had been stuck under the rubble for more than 9 hours, with both of his legs dislocated, and he nearly drowned before the water was shut off.
Oh my god.
It shut off, he literally had to
Seriously, so By a hair.
By a hair. Like minutes away from just drowning. Even though you survived the crush and they were going to be able to get to you, he almost fucking drowned. Like it's like that girl who was leaving the roller coaster and lived and then fell through the floor.
This
like,
person died?
No, he didn't. But like if he had, it would have been like the same thing where you lived through the main thing, but then a side effect killed you. How long do you think 9 hours under rubble would feel like?
I don't know. It's either excruciatingly slow or really fast.
So Jack D. Gillum and associates, who were the engineers who approved the final drawings, were found culpable of gross negligence, misconduct, and unprofessional conduct. Somehow, they were acquitted of all crimes. But they lost their licenses in Missouri, Kansas, and Texas, as well as lost their memberships in the American Society of Engineers. These engineer societies only exist because of the Quebec Bridge.
Oh.
And then because they fucked up and were negligent, they are taken out of these societies, which means they can't practice.
Bare minimum.
Literally the bare minimum. They should be behind bars. More than 300 lawsuits saw a combined total of over $3 billion over the disaster, and with $140 million ultimately being awarded to victims and their families. This is equal to being sued for $10.4 billion now, but only paying $484 million.
$484 million?
Yeah, out
total?
of a $10.4 billion lawsuit. That's all they got paid.
Oh, 10.4 billion?
Yeah, so it was it was $3 billion then, which equals $10.4 billion now. And they only actually, like, that's what they won in court, so it's what they were supposed to get, but they only actually received $140 million, which is equal to $484 million now.
Wow, that's horrible. And that's in total?
Everybody? In total, everyone. Every single person, all their families, all those funerals,
that's
everything.
Less than a quarter, so that's way less than that's like...
It's like nothing.
I'm guessing some people didn't get anything.
Yeah, definitely. The largest suit was to a single victim who won $12 million at the time, what would be $46.5 million now, because after that accident, they required around-the-clock medical care, which I don't even think that's enough, and they didn't get it. They might have gotten a little bit, but they didn't get the whole, No one got the total that they were rewarded. Because that's the thing, you can win in court all you want, but if they don't got the money, they aren't going to pay you.
What?
And then if you're really wealthy, you know how to hide that money. Send it to the Cayman Islands, give it to a relative.
That's billionaires do. Did you know that?
Yeah.
To not pay taxes? Is that they don't hold any money, use credit for it, but since they can pay it off easy or something like that. I don't know how it works, but they like have the loophole.
A bunch of loopholes. The two people at this table, the people that run this podcast, have paid more in taxes than Amazon, than Jeff Bezos, than Nike have in years.
Don't piss me off, Ramsey. You see? You rage bait.
That was a little rage bait. The hotel opened 3 months later, and local authorities said that with reconstruction, it was quite possibly the safest hotel in the country. Doubt it. And that's my final tale of architectural destruction. Shit's fucked up.
Yeah, no. Everything has a common theme in this. I feel like we do podcast topics and everything just follows the same thing. And if things have such a pattern, I don't know why things are not being fixed. I don't know.
It's hard to combat that pattern if you are not educated on that pattern. And education in the United States has been being attacked for decades. Since back to Ronald Reagan. Most bad things in the United States can be brought back to Ronald Reagan. All right, now we are at the end. We are enraged. Hopefully you're full of anger and rage because you should be. Like, if you're not at this point over this stuff, then...
Yeah, but we don't want you to leave with that feeling, so we're gonna give you a little bit more of those palate cleansers just to
take your rage out on the government, not your family.
Yeah.
All right, are you ready for this?
Oh my god. I've actually seen so many videos like this.
Sing to me.
How do you do that?
I don't know. I think they're like holding them.
But like you... Oh my god.
He's like hiding behind her.
That's crazy.
I want the even Hunter do that. No, we need to do that for our TikTok.
Yes.
Go follow us on TikTok. We don't post that much. It's not that good, but you should follow it.
Do it. Do it anyways.
Yo, bitch, go. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah.
Adrian likes to jump over things when he's drunk, and we could totally get you to do that.
This is very accurate to what I would do, but I like watching people get hurt. So
I
if
like
you don't like
watching people
that,
get hurt that aren't like you can tell they're not like legitimately hurt.
Yeah, like this.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, like this.
Our next episode is Dark History.
So,
Very general.
That's free for all.
Basically with this entire channel.
Exactly.
All right, well, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Thank you guys. Have a good day, weekend. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.